Have you ever woke up in the middle of a dream and the dream was so interesting that you wanted to go back to sleep to see the end of it? If so, what was the dream? When I wake up in the morning, I usually have 30 more minutes before I have to actually get out of bed. If I'm having a dream before I wake up and I go back to sleep, I can usually continue the dream. Last night I had a dream that I was in some kind of resort/Jurassic Park like area. I went back to sleep this morning and managed to get into a relationship with a pretty hot dude who was working at the resort. I learned I could fly, but I had to teach myself. Woke up right as I was gearing up for the big test to see how high I could go. Force myself back to sleep, and lem tell ya, flying in a dream is way too fucking fun. I had a nightmare a couple years back, and I still remember some bits. I was in a city where there was an outbreak of a disease. Infected people would start leaking black stuff from their eyes and noses and attack non-infected people. For some reason, I was walking in a part of the city that was completely deserted a couple days after the outbreak. Very faintly I heard someone crying. I approached and found out that it came from a backyard. If I wanted to see who it was, I had to climb a high fence. When I walked into the backyard I was fucking horrified. There was a crying little kid, like 3 years old, on a leash, tied to a pole. I didn't dare to approach because that child was leaking valk stuff from the nose. I woke up after this and was still horrified. The parents had to leave their child, who was still alive, chained to a pole outside. That fucked me up for a couple of days. Was exploring a jungle with a group of, I assume, friends. We ended up discovering some kind of temple, but it was dark, so we decided to set up camp. I was charged with gathering dry wood and leaves for the fire. While macheting my way through vines, I heard my name being screamed by one of the group members in a terrified way, repeatedly. Woke up to see my mom yelling my name and to get the fuck up already. I never found out what that temple was. Edit. I have never watched any adventure movies like Indiana Jones or Jumanji, nor have I played any Uncharted game. I used to have lucid dreams in my early to mid 20s. As soon as I'd realize I was asleep, I'd start flying, or just rising to the ceiling, because it was a cool way to test it. Then my immediate thought would be, who should I pretend sleep with? And the excitement over that possibility woke me up every damn time. I dreamt that I was part of some Eastern European resistance movement who had to speak in code and hide out in abandoned manors in the forest to plan our attacks against some fascist regime. We enlisted the Pope to help us, but when we went to meet him, he has double-crossed us because the regime we were fighting somehow knew the Pope was gay and was going to tell everyone. I woke up then, not knowing if my resistance group was executed or if we escaped somehow. I call it my gay Pope dream. A few months before I got married I had a dream where Bill Murray was attending my wedding and asked to make a toast. I happily agreed. Then, before I could hear the toast, I woke up. Not one single dream, but often I'll dream that I've met a girl that I'm madly in love with, and when I wake up I feel like I've lost a soulmate. Really strange and sort of depressing. I've had 2 variations of this dream that are imprinted into my brain because of how vivid they were. The first, she died from cancer, and I woke up and was legitimately grieving for someone that didn't exist. The second, she whispered some Lovecraftian Cthulhu shit into my ear, and it was a truth so horrible I couldn't comprehend it, and as that revelation settled itself into my mind I died and woke up in the instant I died. After that one I was rather unsettled the rest of the day. Thankfully my wife found my dream affairs amusing, though now I wonder what forbidden knowledge she has. I have a story about when the opposite of this happened. It was a fucking epic fantasy dream, let me tell ya. Evil wizard of some sort that I'm pretty sure was my 8th grade math teacher kidnapped princess, a worthless but snappy sidekick that was my best friend. I roll. This dream had everything. So I beat the bad guy, rescued the princess, and brought her back to a village of, I think, Uoks or something, I dunno. Big celebration. Everybody went hooray and stuff, and then it didn't end. We just kinda stood there looking at each other. It felt like a long time. Uoks just kinda start milling around and doing their everyday shit. Made some small talk with the princess. And then eventually the dream ended and I woke up. It was a strange one. Edit. 2 words. This was like the 4th strangest dream I've ever had. I once dreamed that all of my family and closest friends were on the world's largest cruise ship. Along the way, we somehow were exposed to radioactive waste that gave us all superpowers or other mutations. I remember so vividly being able to use my mind to move objects with ease, and I threw donuts at my brother, whose skin had turned as hard as stone. This one girl on the cruise, that we all universally hated, for reasons I can't remember, received a really random and useless mutation. She grew a really fat lizard tail, like a leopard gecko who has eaten a lot lol. She was crying about how ugly she was now and all we could do was laugh. Then I woke up. I had a nightmare about being a teenage girl with a group of friends on bikes hiding from and hunting down a shadow monster that killed dogs, and we tracked it down to some abandoned house and tried to rescue the dogs, but one of the dogs started barking and I had to try and calm it down before the monster came and got us, and my friend screamed from another room but the do. Then I woke up and I will never know if those dogs survived. Most nights actually. I very rarely have nightmares, and even those are very interesting. Life inside of my head is much more entertaining than reality. I had a dream a few years back that I was at this party and met a girl. We hit it off, really connected on a lot of things, but then it hit me, I was dreaming. I told her that I was bummed because I just realized it was a dream. She didn't believe me, so I asked her what her last name was. She just stared at me blankly. I told her she didn't know cause my brain hadn't given her a last name, but that we should just enjoy the time we have together. Then I woke up and fell back to sleep. I was at another house party. I remember walking around sort of aimlessly until I saw her. She remembered me and we spent the rest of the dream hanging out and holding hands and whatnot. Afterwards, it kinda fucked me up for a few days.